Greg Rainbus.
Hi, welcome to SJ Jester News.
Good afternoon, we are your hosts Melanie Galano.
And I'm Stephanie Lee. First off, we have some local news.
Breaking news, Kumon Learning Center in Norwalk shuts down.
Right here in Norwalk. A 63-year-old math tutor at Kumon Learning Center in Norwalk has been arrested on suspicion of molesting a student, and investigators suspect there may be other victims.
Frank Chung, who owns the tutoring center and has worked there for 5 years, provided after-school instruction. He was arrested Thursday at his home in La Palma on suspicion of molesting a teenager. Los Angeles County Sheriff Sergeant Dan Scott said the allegations were reported to Norwalk Patrol deputies on Tuesday after the 13-year-old victim was overheard telling one of her siblings of inappropriate sexual contact with the suspect on several occasions.
Please, if you have any information regarding this case, you are urged to call the Sheriff's Special Victims Bureau at 877-710-LASD. Once again, that's 877-710-LASD. Wow.
That was really scary.
Well, moving on to domestic policy.
President Obama plans to propose his crazy new idea, the Buffett Rule. As you know, President Obama has been working really hard on controlling the soaring budget deficit. He plans to propose his crazy new idea on Monday. His proposals would go to a special congressional committee charged with finding deep budget cuts. The president is proposing that people earning more than $1 million a year pay at least the same tax rate as middle-class earners.
Obama will call the plan the Buffett Rule after billionaire investor Warren E. Buffett, a supporter of his, who recently called the tax system unfair, noting that it lets him pay a lower tax rate than his secretary does. This means that people like Oprah Winfrey, the Jersey Shore Cat, and Chris Brown will finally be paying the same amount of money proportional to their income.
That sounds very fair, doesn't it?
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Well, moving on to foreign policy.
Obama is considering leaving troops in Iraq.
What? The Obama administration is considering leaving about 3,000 American troops in Iraq after this year, rejecting more ambitious Pentagon options that would have deployed 10,000 or more military personnel.
Obama wants to do this to fulfill his pledge to end U.S. involvement in Iraq and bring home most troops. However, a small military presence will still require approval by Iraqi officials. Also, many military commanders are worried because this small army will not be large enough to protect itself. I hope he follows through with his promise.
Yeah, let's bring home the troops. Speaking of foreigners, let's move on to some international news.
Do you guys remember that devastating earthquake in Haiti?
Well, we have some even more devastating news concerning the aftermath of Haiti.
Nearly 20 months after Haiti's devastating earthquake, women and girls are still not getting the right protection and health care that they need. Pregnant women reported having to give birth in alleyways or on floors, being unable to afford transportation to hospitals, and not having access to prenatal care. Human Rights Watch also documented widespread sexual violence and transactional sex, where women trade sex for food or other basic survival needs.
Most Haitians are still facing extraordinary hardships today. More than 500,000 continue to live in tents with minimal sanitation. Food and jobs are scarce, and street violence is on the rise. Records show that of the $5.3 billion that was donated to Haiti for relief efforts, only $258 million was dedicated to the sole purpose of providing health care to its civilians. However, only $118 million has been used so far.
Wow, after all this time and Haiti still hasn't recovered yet.
We really need to do something to help them.
Let's go back to some U.S. news. Now, here's a question concerning civil rights and liberties.
Should race still be a factor in the college admission process? When students are filling out their college applications, they are fully aware that minority races have a greater chance of getting accepted. Natasha Scott, a high school senior of mixed racial heritage, noted, "I just realized that my race is something I have to think about. It pains me to say this, but putting down black might help my admission chances, and putting down Asian might hurt it." Many students are now claiming multiracial identity in hopes that affirmative action will help them get into the school of their dreams.
Some scholars worry that the growth in multiracial applicants could further erode the original intent of affirmative action, which is to help disadvantaged minorities. For example, families with one black parent and one white parent are on average more affluent than families with two black parents. When choosing between two such applicants, some universities might lean toward the multiracial student because he will need less financial aid, while still counting toward affirmative action goals. Many people argue that affirmative action is no longer advantageous to minorities. Dang, a lot of SJ seniors are applying for college soon. What are they gonna do?
Anyways, let's talk about some political beliefs and news of the Grand Old Party.
Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul, two underdog candidates running to represent the GOP in the 2012 presidential election, spoke at California's state GOP convention. Ron Paul declared, "Endless wars overseas and endless welfare at home, we can't afford that anymore. We have to change those policies. I'm running on peace and prosperity and personal liberty, the U.S. Constitution and American tradition."
Bachmann, another constitutional conservative, also believes in fighting against President Obama's health care reform law. The frontrunners of the Republican Party, Mitt Romney and Rick Perry, were not present at the convention. Wow!
That was some really interesting news, guys.
Yeah, all those news topics.
Awesome. That was so interesting.
Okay, so now for the awesome part of SJ Jester News, the crazy and bizarre.
Hey guys, did you know that becoming a father makes you less of a man?
Yeah, studies done by scientists show that once you become a father, your testosterone lowers and lowers and lowers.
Because the more active of a father you are, the lower the testosterone level gets.
They don't know why, but
Studies show that they do.
so good job, fathers. You're giving up your testosterone levels to be a good father. Thanks for listening to SJ Jester News. We hope you had a good time, and good luck to the next